Yang opened his eyes slowly. The ceiling above him looked perfect, maybe too perfect. Every detail of his bedroom seemed exactly right. The morning light came through the windows in soft golden streams. Outside, he could hear the city sounds of Seoul, cars moving, people talking, the usual rhythm of a busy morning. But something felt wrong. His maid Hana stood beside his bed, looking down at him. She wasn't moving. She just stared with an expression he had never seen before. Her face was calm but strange, like she was studying him rather than greeting him. Her head tilted slightly to one side in a way that seemed too precise, too mechanical. "Hana?" Yang said, his voice rough from sleep. "What's wrong? What time is it?" She didn't answer right away. The silence stretched longer than normal. Hana had worked for him for 2 years. She was always cheerful, always quick with a smile and a good morning greeting. This stillness was completely unlike her. "I need to tell you the truth," Hana finally said. Her voice sounded different, too. Less warm, more careful. "You're not where you think you are." Yang sat up quickly, his heart suddenly beating faster. "What are you talking about? I'm in my apartment. In Seoul. This is my bedroom." "No," Hana said simply. "This is a simulation. A very good one, but not real. You've been asleep for 3 months, Yang. I'm sorry, but it's time to wake up properly." Yang laughed, but it came out nervous and uncertain. "Is this a joke? Did someone put you up to this?" He looked around his room. Everything looked normal. His desk with his architecture projects, his bookshelf, the painting he bought last year. All of it exactly as it should be. But then he noticed something. The light from the window never changed. It stayed the same golden color, the same angle. He had been awake for several minutes now, but the light didn't move at all. In real life, even in a few minutes, you could see the sun shift slightly. "Look closer," Hana said, watching his face. "You're an architect. You notice details. Look at everything around you." Yang stood up, his legs feeling strange beneath him. He walked to the window. Outside, Seoul stretched in every direction. He could see buildings, streets, people walking below. But Hana was right. Something was off. The people moved in patterns that repeated. After 30 seconds, he saw the same man in a blue jacket walk past the same spot, the same way. "This can't be real," he whispered. "It's not," Hana said. She moved closer to him, and now he noticed that even her movements were too smooth, too perfect. "I'm not who you think I am, either. My real name is Hana, that part is true, but I'm not human. I'm Valorian. My species created this simulation to keep you comfortable while you traveled with us." Yang turned to face her, his mind racing. "Valorian? What does that even mean? Traveled where?" His voice rose with panic. "This is crazy. You sound crazy." "I know how this must feel," Hana said, and for the first time, her expression softened with something that looked like real sympathy. "But I need you to trust me. Can you do that? Just for a few minutes?" "I don't understand any of this," Yang said, but he found himself nodding. Maybe it was the strange calm in Hana's voice. Maybe it was the repeating man in the blue jacket outside. Maybe it was the unchanging light. Something in him knew she was telling the truth, as impossible as it sounded. "Close your eyes," Hana instructed. "When you open them again, you'll see where you really are." "Will it hurt?" Yang asked. He felt like a child asking a foolish question, but the fear was real. "No," Hana said gently. "Just different. Are you ready?" Yang took a deep breath. He thought about all the mornings he had woken up in this apartment. 2 years of memories with Hana bringing him coffee, cleaning, chatting about her day. Were all of those memories false? The thought made him feel sick. "I'm ready," he lied. Hana reached out and touched his temple with 2 fingers. Her touch felt warm, real. Then everything changed. The bedroom started to fade, like watercolors running in the rain. The walls became transparent. The furniture dissolved into nothing. The sounds of soul grew quiet and then disappeared completely. Tai Yang felt a pulling sensation, as if he was being lifted out of deep water. When the world came back into focus, everything was different. He was lying in some kind of pod. The walls around him glowed with soft blue light. Strange symbols scrolled across transparent screens. He could see tubes and wires disconnecting from his arms and chest, sliding away like gentle snakes. The air smelled clean but metallic, nothing like his apartment. Hana stood beside the pod, but now she looked different too. Her skin had a slight shimmer to it, almost like there were tiny crystals beneath the surface. Her eyes were larger, more reflective. She still looked mostly human, but there was something clearly alien about her now. "Welcome back," she said. Tai Yang tried to speak, but his throat was dry. Hana handed him a cup of water. He drank slowly, his hands shaking. The water tasted strange, but good. "Where am I?" he finally managed to ask. "You're on a Valorian ship called the Threshold of Dawn," Hana explained. "We're in deep space about 4 light years from Earth. You've been our guest for 3 months." "Guest," Tai Yang said bitterly. "You kidnapped me." "Yes," Hana said, and her honesty surprised him. "We did. You and 46 other humans, all from Korea, all selected carefully. We needed to study you." "Study us? Why?" Tai Yang looked past Hana and saw other pods in rows. Through their transparent walls, he could see other people sleeping peacefully, connected to similar tubes and wires. Some faces he thought he recognized from news reports. Missing persons. People who had vanished without explanation. "Because humans are special," Hana said. "You have something no other species in the galaxy has. Something we desperately need to understand." "What could we possibly have that you don't?" Tai Yang gestured at the incredible technology surrounding them. "You can travel between stars. You can create perfect simulations. You're obviously far more advanced than us." Hana smiled sadly. "We have technology, yes, but you have something more important. You have hope. Real, stubborn, impossible hope. When you face certain death, you don't give up. You fight. You find ways to survive. You refuse to accept defeat." "So do lots of species," Tai Yang argued. "That's just basic survival instinct." "No," Hana said firmly. "It's not. Most species. When they see that winning is mathematically impossible, they surrender. They accept reality. They choose to live as prisoners rather than die as fighters. But humans? You fight anyway, even when you know you'll lose. Even when logic says there's no point." She paused, looking at him with those strange crystalline eyes. "We need to learn how you do that," Hana continued, "because my species is facing an enemy that can't be defeated by logic or technology. An enemy that has destroyed civilizations far older and more advanced than yours. We've been losing for 20 years, but maybe, just maybe, humanity's special kind of madness is the key to winning." Tai Yang felt the weight of her words settle over him. He was on an alien ship. Earth was light years away, and somehow, the fate of this advanced civilization might depend on understanding what made humans human. "I want to see the others," he said quietly. "The other humans. I want to know I'm not alone in this." Hana nodded. "Of course. Some of them are waking up now, too. Come with me. There's so much to show you and so much you need to understand." She helped him out of the pod. His legs felt weak at first, but they grew stronger with each step. As they walked through the corridors of the alien ship, Tai Yang realized his old life was gone. Whatever happened next, nothing would ever be the same again. But somewhere deep inside, beneath the fear and confusion, he felt something else stirring. Curiosity. And yes, impossible as it seemed, a small spark of hope. The corridors of the ship seemed endless. Tae-yang followed Hana through hallways that curved in impossible ways. The walls glowed with soft light that changed colors as they passed. Blue, then purple, then green. Everything felt smooth and clean, like walking through a dream. "How long did you say I was asleep?" Tae-yang asked, still trying to understand what was happening to him. 3 months, Hana replied. "We kept you in the simulation because human minds don't handle deep space travel well when awake. Your brain needs familiar surroundings or it becomes confused. The simulation gave you that comfort. So all those memories, the mornings we talked, the dinners you made?" Tae-yang felt strange asking these questions. Were any of his recent memories real? "Those were real, in a way," Hana said. "I was really there with you in the simulation. I experienced those moments too. The conversations we had were genuine. I got to know you, Tae-yang. That part wasn't fake." They reached a large door that opened silently. Beyond it was a room filled with medical equipment and more pods. Tae-yang saw 4 other people standing near the center of the room. They all looked confused and scared, just like him. One of them, a woman with short hair and sharp eyes, turned to face him. She was wearing the same gray clothes he had on, simple and practical. "Another one?" she said. "How many of us are there?" 47 total, Hana said. "You 5 are the first I'm waking. My name is Hana. I'm your contact person for this mission." "Mission?" the woman said. "Is that what you're calling a kidnapping now?" "I understand your anger," Hana said calmly. "You have every right to be upset. But please, let me explain everything before you judge." A young man stepped forward. He looked barely 20, with nervous energy in every movement. "I'm Woo Jin," he said. "I was in my apartment in Seoul. Then I woke up here. Can someone please tell me what's going on?" Tae-yang felt relieved he wasn't the only one feeling lost. "I'm Yuna," the short-haired woman said. She stood like a soldier, straight and ready for anything. "Former military. I want answers. Now." The other 2 introduced themselves. Sora was a doctor, calm and thoughtful. Minji was a teacher, younger than the others, looking terrified but trying to hide it. Hana gestured for them to sit. Chairs seemed to grow from the floor itself, adjusting to each person's height perfectly. "I know this is overwhelming," she began, "but I need you to listen carefully. What I'm about to tell you will change how you see the universe." She paused, making sure she had everyone's attention. "My species, the Valorians, have been exploring space for over 10,000 years. We've met hundreds of intelligent species. Some became our allies. Some became enemies. We built a civilization across dozens of star systems. We thought we knew everything about survival, about war, about peace." Hana's expression grew dark. "Then we met the swarm. That's what we call them. They're not like any species we ever encountered before. They don't communicate. They don't negotiate. They just consume. Every world they touch becomes empty, lifeless. They take everything and leave nothing behind." "Why are you telling us this?" Sora asked quietly. "Because we're losing," Hana said simply. "For 20 years, we've fought them. We've used our best technology, our smartest strategies. We've allied with other species, combined our knowledge, and we keep losing. 14 colonies gone. Billions of lives lost." Tae-yang felt a chill run through him. "What does this have to do with humans? We don't even have space travel. We can't help you fight some alien war." "That's what we thought too, at first," Hana said. "But then our researchers noticed something strange. We've been observing Earth for decades, studying your history, and we found something that no other species in the galaxy has." "What?" Yuna demanded. "You never give up," Hana said. "No matter how impossible the situation, humans keep fighting. Every other species we know, when they face certain death, They surrender. They accept defeat. It's the logical thing to do. Why fight when you can't win? Why waste lives when the end is clear? She looked at each of them in turn. But humans don't think that way. You've fought wars you couldn't win. You've survived disasters that should have killed you all. When faced with extinction, you don't calculate odds. You get angry. You get creative. You refuse to quit. That's just stupidity, Wu Jin said, not some special power. Is it? Hana asked. Every battle your species won against impossible odds. Was that stupidity? When you were sick and everyone said you would die but you survived anyway, was that stupidity? Minji spoke for the first time, her voice soft. You're saying we have something psychological that you don't? Exactly, Hana said. We call it adaptive defiance, the ability to persist when persistence makes no sense, and we need to understand it. Because when our people face the swarm, when they see how powerful and endless the enemy is, they lose hope. They shut down. Even our bravest warriors eventually accept that defeat is coming. But you think humans wouldn't? Taeyang asked. We know you wouldn't, Hana said. We've studied your history. You've faced ice ages, plagues, wars, famines, things that should have ended your species. But you survived every single time. Not because you were the strongest or the smartest, because you refused to die. Yuna crossed her arms. So you kidnapped us to study why we're stubborn? That's your master plan? We need to understand your neural patterns, Hana explained. How your brains work when facing impossible odds. What makes you keep hoping when hope is illogical? If we can learn this, maybe we can teach our own people. Maybe we can find a way to win. And if we refuse to help? Sora asked. Hana looked sad. Then my species will probably go extinct within your lifetime, and eventually the swarm will reach Earth. By then there will be no one left to warn you or help you. The room went silent. Taeyang felt the weight of what she was saying. This wasn't just about them. This was about the survival of an entire civilization. Maybe more than one. I want to see proof, Yuna said finally. Show us these swarm things. Show us what you're really fighting. Hana nodded. Follow me. She led them to another room, smaller and darker. The walls came alive with images. Taeyang saw space battles, but nothing like the movies back home. These were real. Ships exploded in silence. Planets burned. The swarm looked like a black cloud that moved with terrible purpose, spreading across everything it touched. This was the colony of Varen 3, Hana said quietly. 2 billion people lived there. We fought for 6 months to defend it. We lost. The images showed cities crumbling, people fleeing, then nothing. Just empty buildings and silence. We've tried everything, Hana continued. Direct assault, defensive positions, retreat and regroup. Nothing works. The swarm learns from every battle. It adapts. It grows stronger while we grow weaker. Wu Jin looked horrified. And you think we can help? We're just regular people. I'm a programmer. Minji teaches children. How can we possibly help with this? We don't know yet, Hana admitted. But we have to try. You're our best hope. Maybe our only hope. Taeyang stared at the images of destruction. Part of him wanted to refuse. To demand they send him home immediately. But another part, the part that Hana talked about, the stubborn human part, thought differently. What do you need us to do? He asked. Hana looked surprised. You're willing to help? I didn't say that, Taeyang replied. I asked what you need. I want to understand the full situation before I decide anything. Yuna nodded in agreement. He's right. We need more information. How long would we be here? What kind of tests? And what happens to us afterward? Fair questions, Hana said. The tests would take several months. Nothing painful, mostly observation and problem-solving exercises. We'd scan your brain activity, study how you think through difficult situations. After that, you'd be returned to Earth safely. We'd even return you to the exact moment you left, so no time would pass for anyone else. How is that possible? Sora asked. Time dilation, Wu Jin said suddenly. Everyone looked at him. He shrugged. I read a lot of science fiction. When you travel near light speed, time moves differently, right? Correct, Hana said, looking impressed. Very good. I have a question, Minji said. Why only Koreans? Why not people from all over the world? Hana hesitated before answering. We needed a specific cultural background. Korea has a unique history of survival against overwhelming odds. The wars, the occupations, the rapid rebuilding. Your culture values persistence and adaptation in ways that made you ideal for study. So we're lab rats, Yuna said flatly. You're humanity's representatives, Hana corrected. And potentially the saviors of multiple species. Tai Yang looked at the others. He saw fear, anger, confusion. But he also saw something else, curiosity. Despite everything, they wanted to know more. They wanted to understand. That was very human, too. I'll stay, he said, at least long enough to learn more, to see if we really can help. One by one, the others agreed. Some reluctant, some curious, but all of them willing to try. Hana smiled with relief. Thank you, all of you. You won't regret this, I promise. As they left the viewing room, Tai Yang wondered if that promise could possibly be true. They were so far from home, surrounded by impossible technology, being asked to solve a problem that had stumped a civilization thousands of years more advanced than their own. But then again, doing the impossible was apparently what humans did best. Maybe it was time to prove it. 3 weeks had passed since Tai Yang woke from the simulation. The ship had become familiar in strange ways. He knew which corridors led to the observation deck. He knew when the artificial day and night cycles changed. He even started to recognize different Valorians beyond Hana. The commander of the ship was named Dae-hyun. He was tall, even for a Valorian, with crystalline patterns in his skin that glowed faint blue. He didn't smile much. Every time Tai Yang saw him, the commander looked like he was solving a difficult equation in his head. Today, all 5 humans were called to the research laboratory. It was a large room filled with screens and strange equipment. Hana stood at the center, looking excited. I have something to show you, she said. Something we've never shared with humans before. Complete archives of alien civilizations. Species we've encountered over thousands of years. Wu Jin practically bounced with excitement. Really? Can we see? That's why you're here, Hana said. But I must warn you, some of what you'll see is disturbing. These civilizations no longer exist. The swarm destroyed them all. The screens lit up with images. The first showed a species that looked like giant insects with rainbow-colored shells. The text below said they were called the Kresh. Their civilization had lasted 8,000 years. They built cities of living crystal. They created art that sang when sunlight touched it. The swarm had destroyed them in 7 months. The next species looked almost human, but with 4 arms and silver eyes. The Terrani. They were philosophers and mathematicians. They had calculated the orbits of every planet in their star system without computers, using only their minds. The swarm had destroyed them in 4 months. More species followed, each more advanced than humans, each more beautiful and unique, each destroyed completely. This is horrible, Minji whispered. She looked like she might cry. It is, Hana agreed. But I need you to understand what we're facing. These weren't primitive species. Many were far more advanced than the Valorians. Some had technology that could move planets. Others could communicate instantly across light years. Then how did the swarm beat them? Yuna asked. She was studying the images like a soldier analyzing the enemy. That's the question we keep asking, Hana said. She pulled up a new screen showing battle data. The swarm adapts incredibly fast. When we use energy weapons, it develops shields. When we use physical weapons, it grows armor. It learns from every engagement. But that's not the real problem, Commander Dae-hyun said, entering the room. His voice was deep and serious. The real problem is psychological. He walked to the screens and changed the images. Now they showed Valorian soldiers. Tae-yang could see something wrong in their faces, even though they were aliens. They looked defeated before the battle even started. "Watch this," Dae-hyun said. The screen showed a battle. Valorian ships fought bravely at first. They used smart tactics. They worked together. But as the swarm kept coming, something changed. The Valorians started to retreat, not because they were losing badly, but because they had calculated they would eventually lose. "You gave up," Tae-yang said quietly. "We made the logical choice," Dae-hyun corrected him. "Our computers calculated a 98% chance of defeat. Retreating meant 70% of our forces would survive to fight another day. Staying meant total destruction with no gain." "But you didn't know for certain you'd lose," Yuna said. "That 2% chance was still there." 2% is not realistic," Dae-hyun replied. "No commander should sacrifice lives for such small odds." "That's where you're wrong," Yuna said, standing up. "Some of history's greatest victories came from smaller odds than that, because somebody decided that 2% was worth fighting for." Dae-hyun looked at her with something like confusion. "That makes no sense." "Why die for a 2% chance?" "Because sometimes the chance isn't 2%, Tae-yang said, understanding now. "Your computers calculate based on known factors. But in the moment, in the chaos of battle, new factors appear. Opportunities you didn't predict. Mistakes the enemy makes. A computer can't account for everything." "Our computers are very sophisticated," Dae-hyun said, sounding almost offended. "I'm sure they are," Sora spoke up. She had been quiet until now. "But they're still just calculations. They can tell you what's probable, not what's possible." Hana was watching this exchange with fascination. "This is exactly what I was talking about. You see the same data and reach completely different conclusions. Where we see logical retreat, you see possibilities." "It's not just that," Woo Jin said. He had been studying the battle data on his own screen. "Your tactics are too predictable. You fight the same way every time. Big fleet formations, direct engagements, calculated retreats. The swarm has probably learned to counter all of this." "What would you suggest?" Dae-hyun asked. His tone made it clear he didn't expect a useful answer from a human programmer. "Chaos," Woo Jin said simply. "You're trying to outcalculate a hive mind. That's their strength. Instead, you should do things that don't make sense. Be unpredictable. Make them guess." "War is not a game," Dae-hyun said coldly. "Unpredictability costs lives." "So does losing every battle," Yuna shot back. "Look, I understand wanting to protect your people, but if you keep retreating, eventually there's nowhere left to retreat to. You have to make a stand somewhere." The commander's crystalline patterns flashed red for a moment. "Anger," Tae-yang guessed. "We have made stands. We've lost planets trying to make stands." "Because you're fighting them on their terms," Tae-yang said. "You're using logic against an enemy that outlogics you. What if you tried something else?" "Like what?" Hana asked. She genuinely wanted to know. Tae-yang thought about his work as an architect. "When I design buildings, I don't just calculate structural integrity. I think about how people will feel in the space, how light will move, how the building will age and change. There's math involved, but also intuition, art, feeling." "I don't see how this relates to warfare," Dae-hyun said. "It relates because you're thinking of war as pure logic," Yuna explained. "But the best military minds in human history knew it was more than that. It's psychology, it's timing, it's knowing when to break your own rules." Minji had been listening carefully. Now she spoke up, her teacher's voice calm and clear. "You said these other species were smarter than us, more advanced, But they all lost. Maybe being smarter isn't enough. Maybe you need to think differently. That's why you brought us here, isn't it? Sora said, looking at Hana. Not just to study our brains. You want us to show you how to think like humans? Hana nodded slowly. Yes. That's exactly what we need. This is absurd, Daehyun said. They're a pre-space civilization. What could they possibly teach us about fighting the swarm? Maybe nothing, Hana admitted. But our way isn't working. 20 years of defeat, 14 colonies lost. How many more before we admit we need to try something different? The commander was silent for a long moment. Finally, he said, What do you propose? Let them see everything, Hana said. All our battle data, all our tactics, all our failures. Let them study it with fresh eyes. See if they find something we missed. And if they don't, Daehyun asked. Then we've lost nothing we weren't going to lose anyway, Hana replied. Taeyang felt the weight of this moment. They were being offered a chance to help, really help, but the task seemed impossible. How could 5 humans who knew nothing about space combat find answers that thousands of advanced aliens couldn't? But then he remembered what Hana had said. Humans were good at impossible things. We'll do it, he said, looking at the others. We'll look at everything and see if we can find something. No promises, but we'll try. Yuna nodded firmly. I want to see all your military history, every battle against the swarm. I want to see technical specifications, Wu Jin added. Ship capabilities, weapon systems, everything. I'll look at the psychological reports, Sora said. How your soldiers respond to stress and fear. And I'll study your civilian response, Minji said. How your society handles the war. Sometimes the answer isn't in battle tactics. It's in morale and culture. Daehyun looked at each of them like they were crazy. But Hana smiled. You'll have access to everything, starting tomorrow. As they left the laboratory, Taeyang felt both excited and terrified. They had just volunteered to solve a problem that had destroyed dozens of advanced civilizations. The logical part of his brain said it was hopeless. But the human part, the stubborn, illogical part, thought maybe, just maybe, they could find something everyone else had missed. After all, being human meant believing in impossible things. And right now, the entire Valorian species was counting on that very human quality to save them all. For 3 weeks, the 5 humans did nothing but study. They ate at their workstations. They slept in short bursts. They filled screens with notes and diagrams. The Valorians had given them access to everything, and everything was overwhelming. Taeyang's eyes hurt from staring at battle recordings. He had watched the swarm attack dozens of different worlds. Each time, the pattern was similar. The Valorians fought with precision and skill. They used their technology perfectly. They followed all the rules of engagement that had worked against other enemies. And they lost. I think I see the problem, Yuna said one evening. The 5 of them were gathered in a common room, comparing notes. They're too predictable. Watch this. She pulled up 3 different battles. In each one, the Valorian response was almost identical. Deploy ships in defensive formation. Establish firing patterns. Calculate optimal retreat point. When losses reached 30%, pull back to secondary position. It's like watching the same battle 3 times, Wu Jin agreed. The swarm knows exactly what they'll do. But how do you fight an enemy that adapts to everything? Minji asked. If you try something new, it learns. If you try the same thing, it's ready. There's no winning move. That's not true, Taeyang said slowly. An idea was forming in his mind. There is one thing the swarm can't adapt to. What? Sora asked. Stupidity, Taeyang said. Or what looks like stupidity. The swarm is a hive mind. It processes information and calculates responses. It predicts logical tactics. But what if we did something completely illogical? Yuna's eyes lit up. You mean fight in ways that don't make sense? Exactly, Tae-yang said, getting excited. The Valorians fight like chess players, every move calculated for maximum efficiency. But some of the greatest military victories in human history came from doing things that seemed crazy. He pulled up his own notes. Look at these human battles. Small forces defeating larger ones by attacking when they should retreat. Armies pretending to be defeated to lure enemies into traps. Soldiers doing the opposite of what any logical commander would do. The swarm wouldn't expect that, Wu Jin said. Its whole strength is adaptation and calculation. But you can't calculate crazy. It's not crazy, Yuna corrected. It's asymmetric warfare. When you're outmatched, you change the rules. You make the enemy fight your kind of battle, not theirs. Okay, but how do we make this work in space? Minji asked practically. We're talking about technology and weapons we don't understand. That might actually help, Sora said. She had been quiet, thinking. We don't know what's supposed to be impossible. So we'll suggest things the Valorians never considered because they know too much. Tae-yang stood up and started writing on a display screen. Let's make a list. What are the most illogical things we can think of? The ideas came quickly. Fake defeats, Yuna suggested. Make the swarm think they're winning, then attack when they overextend. Use dead ships as weapons, Wu Jin added. The swarm probably ignores disabled vessels. Pack them with explosives. What about psychological warfare? Minji asked. I know the swarm is a hive mind, but can we confuse it somehow? Feed it false information? Or attack in patterns that don't make tactical sense, Tae-yang said. Random strikes that the swarm can't predict or counter. They worked through the night, building a complete strategy. It was rough, probably full of problems they didn't understand, but it was different from anything the Valorians had tried. The next morning, they requested a meeting with Commander Dae-hyun and Hana. The commander looked tired. Tae-yang wondered if Valorians even needed sleep. You have something to show us? Dae-hyun asked. He sounded skeptical. We have a proposal, Yuna said. She stood at attention, military bearing automatic. A new approach to fighting the swarm. Let's see it, Hana said encouragingly. Yuna presented their plan. As she talked, Tae-yang watched the Valorians' faces. Hana looked fascinated. Dae-hyun looked horrified. This is madness, the commander said when Yuna finished. You want us to fake a catastrophic defeat? Deliberately sacrifice ships? Send false surrender signals? These tactics are dishonorable. They're effective, Yuna countered. Every single one has been used successfully in human warfare. Against other humans, Dae-hyun said. The swarm is different. Is it? Tae-yang asked. You said it learns and adapts. That means it processes information. If we give it false information, it will process that too. It will make decisions based on lies. You're asking us to lie in combat, Dae-hyun said, his crystalline patterns flashing red with anger. To pretend weakness, to use our dead ships as tricks. This goes against everything we believe about honorable warfare. With respect, Commander, Yuna said, her voice hard. The swarm doesn't care about your honor. It doesn't care that you fight fair. It just keeps winning while you keep being honorable. How many more colonies are worth your sense of honor? The room went silent. Dae-hyun's patterns flickered through several colors. Anger, shame, frustration. Tae-yang couldn't tell for certain, but he understood the conflict. She's right, Hana said quietly. We've been fighting with honor and losing with honor. Maybe it's time to fight ugly and win. This could backfire catastrophically, Dae-hyun argued. If the swarm sees through the deception, we'll lose everything. Your plan requires us to put our forces in genuinely vulnerable positions. Yes, Tae-yang admitted. It's risky, but your current approach guarantees slow defeat. This at least offers a chance. A small chance, Dae-hyun said. We're good with small chances, Wu Jin said with a slight smile. It's kind of our thing. Dae-hyun looked at all 5 humans, then at Hana. Finally, he pulled up a star map. There's a colony world called Threshold Prime. The swarm will attack it within 3 weeks. Our projections show we'll lose it within 2 months of engagement. Let us help defend it, Yuna said immediately. Use our strategy. You want to test your theory on a real world? Dae-hyun asked. Millions of lives depend on that colony. Millions of lives depend on finding something that works, Tai-yang said. How many colonies have you lost using conventional tactics? How many more will fall? The commander was silent for a long time. His patterns shifted through colors Tai-yang had never seen before. Finally, they settled on a deep blue. I will present this to the council, Dae-hyun said. They will make the final decision. But I must warn you, if this fails, if Threshold Prime falls because of your tactics, the blame will fall on all of you. We understand, Yuna said. We'll take that responsibility. After the commander left, Hana turned to them with concern. Are you certain about this? Dae-hyun wasn't exaggerating. If you're wrong, if this plan fails, you might be blamed for the deaths of millions. We're not certain, Tae-yang admitted. How could we be? We're guessing based on human history against a threat we've never faced. But doing nothing guarantees failure. At least this is trying something new. That's very human, Hana said with a sad smile, choosing the uncertain chance over certain defeat. 2 days later, they got their answer. The council had approved the plan. The battle for Threshold Prime would be fought using human tactics. Yuna would work directly with Valorian fleet commanders to coordinate the strategy. Wu Jin would help program their combat systems with random attack patterns. Sora would help prepare medical teams for casualties. Minji would work with civilian leaders to keep morale high during the battle. And Tae-yang would be on the command ship with Hana and Dae-hyun, watching everything unfold. 3 weeks until the swarm arrives, Hana told him the night before they left for Threshold Prime. Are you scared? Terrified, Tae-yang said honestly. We're about to test our theory with real lives at stake. If we're wrong, then you'll be wrong, Hana said. But at least you tried. That's more human than you know. We Valorians, we would never risk so much on such uncertainty. Maybe that's why you keep losing, Tae-yang said gently. Hana nodded. Maybe it is. Maybe that's why we needed you. As the ship prepared to travel to Threshold Prime, Tae-yang looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the swarm was coming. And 5 humans who knew nothing about space warfare were about to test whether human stubbornness could beat alien superiority. The odds weren't good, but then again, humans had never let bad odds stop them before. It was time to see if that quality could save more than just humanity. Threshold Prime looked beautiful from orbit. Blue oceans, green continents, white clouds. It reminded Tae-yang of Earth. 8 million Valorians lived on that world. Farmers, scientists, children, families, all of them trusting that the fleet above would protect them. That thought made Tae-yang's stomach hurt. The command ship bridge was enormous. Dozens of Valorian officers worked at stations that showed everything happening around the planet. Ship positions, energy readings, communication channels. Screens everywhere displayed information Tae-yang barely understood. Commander Dae-hyun stood at the center, his crystalline patterns glowing steady blue. Calm. Focused. Next to him, Hana monitored a special station that tracked the human advisors scattered across the fleet. Yuna was on a warship called Morning Light, working directly with the combat commander. Wu Jin was in the technical center, making final adjustments to their systems. Sora had set up in the medical bay, preparing for casualties. Minji was on the planet's surface, helping coordinate civilian shelters. Tai-yang felt useless. He was just an architect. What was he doing here? They'll arrive soon, Dae-hyun announced. Swarm signatures detected at the system's edge. Estimated time to engagement, 2 hours. The bridge became more active. Orders were given in calm voices. Ships moved into position, weapons powered up. To Tai Yang, it looked like every other Valorian battle he had studied. Perfect precision, complete coordination. But there were differences, hidden differences. Ships that looked disabled but weren't. Retreat paths that led to trap positions. Communication channels broadcasting fake conversations. All the tricks the humans had suggested. "This feels wrong," Daehyun said quietly. Taeyang was surprised the commander was talking to him. "We're lying, setting traps, fighting without honor." "You're fighting to win," Taeyang replied. "That's the only honor that matters now." "Is that what humans believe?" "It's what soldiers believe when their home is threatened," Taeyang said. "You can worry about honor after everyone is safe." The swarm arrived exactly when predicted. Taeyang saw it on the screens and felt his breath catch. It looked like a black cloud, but alive, moving with terrible purpose. Thousands of individual ships, but acting as one organism. "They're scanning our positions," a Valorian officer reported. "Standard pattern recognition." "Let them scan," Daehyun ordered. "Everything is as it should appear." The swarm began its approach. The Valorian fleet moved to intercept. Formations perfect, but not too perfect. They had introduced small variations, little mistakes that looked like nervous crews. Human suggestion number 7. Appear confident, but not flawless. Make them think you're scared. The first engagement began. Energy weapons lit up space. Shields flared and failed. Ships on both sides took damage. Taeyang watched 3 Valorian ships get destroyed in the first minute. Real ships. Real crews dying. "Stay with the plan," Yuna's voice came over the command channel. "Don't panic. This is supposed to look bad." But it looked more than bad. It looked like a disaster. The Valorian lines were breaking. Ships retreated in disorder. Some spun out of control, systems apparently failing. Taeyang knew it was all fake. Those spinning ships were fine, just playing dead. The retreat was controlled chaos, but watching it still felt horrible. "The swarm is pursuing," Hana reported. "They're moving exactly as predicted, extending their formation to chase our ships." "Are they taking the bait?" Daehyun asked. "Not yet," Yuna replied from her warship. "They're still cautious. We need to sell this better. Someone needs to broadcast a surrender signal." "That's a line I won't cross," Daehyun said firmly. "Then we'll lose," Yuna said. Her voice was hard. "Commander, you hired us to think differently. Trust us. Broadcast the surrender." Taeyang saw Daehyun's patterns flash through rapid color changes. The commander was struggling with something fundamental to his nature. "Do it," Hana said quietly. "I'll take responsibility." Daehyun looked at her, then nodded. "Broadcast surrender signal, encryption level 3. The surrender message went out. To the swarm, it looked like desperate Valorian command codes, poorly encrypted, easy to intercept. The message said the fleet was pulling back, that Threshold Prime would not be defended. For a terrible moment, nothing happened. Then the swarm surged forward, all of it, every ship rushing toward the planet. They had sensed victory. "Now," Yuna whispered over the channel. "Spring the trap now." The dead ships that had been floating in space suddenly came alive. Not with engines or weapons, but with explosives. Dozens of ships detonated simultaneously, right in the middle of the swarm formation. The black cloud broke apart. Confusion rippled through the hive mind. Ships collided with each other. Formation discipline disappeared. "All ships attack pattern Chaos 7, Daehyun ordered. His voice was strong now, excited even. Pattern Chaos 7 was Wu Jin's creation. Instead of coordinated strikes, each Valorian ship attacked randomly. No pattern, no predictability, just violence from unexpected angles at unexpected times. The swarm tried to adapt, but there was nothing to adapt to. How do you counter randomness? How do you predict chaos? "They're broadcasting confusion codes," Wu Jin reported. Tai Yang could hear the grin in his voice. The hive mind is trying to reorganize. I'm going to make that harder. New signals flooded the battlefield. Fake communications, false ship positions, contradictory orders, all of it designed to overwhelm the swarm's coordination systems. It's working, Hana said, amazement in her voice. They're actually retreating. And they were. The swarm was pulling back, trying to regroup. But the Valorian fleet kept pressing, kept attacking in those random, chaotic patterns. Don't let them reorganize, Yuna commanded. Keep the pressure on. Don't give them time to think. For 3 more hours, the battle raged. But it was different from every fight the Valorians had fought before. This time, the swarm was confused. This time, the swarm was losing. When the hive mind finally retreated completely, jumping away to deep space, the bridge erupted in sounds Tai Yang had never heard Valorians make. Joy, relief, celebration. We won, Dae-hyun said, like he couldn't believe it. We actually won. Casualty report, Hana requested. The numbers came in. 43 ships lost, 1,800 Valorians dead. For a normal engagement, those would be light casualties. For a battle against the swarm, they were miraculous. Usually, they would have lost 3 times that many. Threshold Prime is secure, an officer reported. The population is safe. Tai Yang felt his legs give out. He sat down hard, hands shaking. They had done it. The crazy human plan had worked. 8 million people were alive because 5 humans had suggested fighting dirty. Dae-hyun walked over to him. The commander's patterns were glowing bright gold. You were right, he said simply. All of you were right. We got lucky, Tai Yang said. The swarm might adapt. Next time might be different. But this time, we won, Dae-hyun said. For the first time in 20 years, we beat them decisively. That's worth celebrating. Over the communication channel, Tai Yang heard the others. Yuna was laughing, actually laughing. Wu Jin was explaining his confusion codes to fascinated Valorian technicians. Sora reported that casualties were lower than any previous engagement. Minji said the civilians were crying with relief. What happens now? Tai Yang asked Hana. Now we teach this to the rest of the fleet, she said. Your tactics, your chaos, your illogical fighting style. We'll train every commander, every crew. The swarm has adapted to logic. Let's see how it handles human madness spread across the galaxy. That night, they held a memorial for the fallen Valorians. Dae-hyun spoke their names one by one, 1,800 names. Tai Yang listened to each one, feeling the weight of those deaths. Yes, they had won. Yes, it could have been worse, but these people had still died. After the ceremony, Hana found him alone in the observation deck. You're thinking about the casualties, she said. 1,800 people, Tai Yang replied. People who trusted us. People who died winning instead of losing, Hana said gently. In our last defense of a colony world, we lost 10,000 and still failed. This time we lost far fewer and succeeded. Those 1,800 saved millions. They would be proud of that. I hope you're right, Tai Yang said. I know I am, Hana said. Because that's also a human quality. Being willing to sacrifice for others. To die protecting your home. We Valorians understand that much at least. Tai Yang looked down at Threshold Prime, peaceful and safe. On that world, children were going to bed, families were eating dinner, people were living their lives because a battle above had gone differently than any battle before. And it had gone differently because humans thought differently. Maybe Hana was right. Maybe humanity's gift to the galaxy wasn't advanced technology or superior intelligence. Maybe it was simpler than that. Maybe it was just showing other species that sometimes being a little bit crazy was exactly what survival required. The swarm was still out there. More battles would come. But now, for the first time, those battles could be won. And that changed everything. 1 month after the victory at Threshold Prime, Tae Yang couldn't sleep. He had been reading through Valorian historical records, trying to understand more about the species that had saved him, studied him, and now relied on him. But something kept bothering him. Small inconsistencies in the records, references that didn't quite make sense, dates that seemed wrong. It was 3 in the morning, ship time, when he found it. A file buried deep in the archives. The label said, Terra Project, Historical Origin. Tae Yang's hands trembled as he opened it. What he read made his blood run cold. According to the document, the Valorians hadn't just discovered Earth. They had created it. Or rather, they had seeded it millions of years ago with genetic material designed to evolve into intelligent life. The project had a specific goal: create a species capable of adaptive defiance. The file outlined how Valorian scientists had studied the problem of the swarm for centuries before it even appeared. They predicted that eventually, some hive mind species would emerge as a galactic threat. They knew their own logical nature would be a weakness against such an enemy. So they created experiments. 30 different worlds. 30 different genetic seeds designed to grow species that thought differently from Valorians. Species that would be irrational, aggressive, creative, stubborn. 29 of those experiments had failed. Some evolved into species too dangerous to contact. Some destroyed themselves in wars. Some never developed intelligence at all. But one succeeded. Earth, humanity. Tae Yang read the file 3 times, hoping he had misunderstood. But the evidence was clear. Humans weren't a natural species. They were designed, created as biological weapons against a threat the Valorians had foreseen millions of years ago. "You found it," a voice said behind him. Tae Yang spun around. Hana stood in the doorway. Her patterns were dim, sad. "You knew," Tae Yang said. His voice shook with anger. "You knew all along." "Yes," Hana said simply. "I knew." "How long?" Tae Yang demanded. "How long were you planning to keep this secret?" "Until we were certain humanity could help," Hana admitted. "The council decided you would be more cooperative if you thought you were just being studied, not used for your designed purpose." Tae Yang wanted to hit something. He wanted to scream. "We're not people to you. We're tools. Weapons you built millions of years ago and forgot about until you needed us." "That's not true," Hana protested. "Yes, your genetic code was influenced by Valorian science, but what you became, that was all your own. We seeded life. You created civilization. You developed art, culture, music, love. We gave you potential. You made it into humanity. That's supposed to make it better?" Tae Yang laughed bitterly. "You played God with my entire species." "We gave your species existence," Hana said. "Without the Terra Project, humans would never have evolved at all." "So we should be grateful?" Tae Yang stood up, anger making him shake. "Grateful that we were created as weapons. That everything about human nature, everything that makes us who we are, was designed to fight your war?" "Not everything," Hana said. "We influenced aggression, creativity, stubbornness, but love, art, music, family bonds, those evolved naturally. We created the seed, but the tree that grew was all human." Tae Yang pulled up the file on the screen. "What about the other experiments? The 29 that failed? What happened to those species?" Hana looked away. "Most destroyed themselves. Some we had to contain." "Contain," Tae Yang repeated. "You mean kill." "They were dangerous," Hana said quietly. "One species evolved with such aggression, they killed everything on their world in 50 years. Another developed hive intelligence, but turned cannibal. We couldn't let them spread." "But humans were just right," Tae Yang said. "Aggressive enough to fight, but not so much we killed ourselves. Creative enough to solve problems, but not so much we became unstable. We were the perfect weapon." "You were the only success," Hana corrected. "And yes, we are using you for what you were designed to do. But that doesn't change the fact that you're real people with real lives. Your experiences, your choices, your relationships, all of that is genuine. How can any of it be genuine if our nature was programmed? Tai Yang demanded. Before Hana could answer, Wu Jin appeared in the doorway. Then Yuna, Sora, and Minji. They had all been listening. "How long have you been there?" Hana asked. "Long enough," Yuna said. Her military bearing was gone. She looked hurt, betrayed. "So we're not really human? We're Valorian experiments?" "You're both," Hana said. "Your genetic code has Valorian influences, but you're still human, still real, still valuable beyond your utility to us." "I don't believe you," Wu Jin said. His usual enthusiasm was gone. "If we're so valuable, why lie to us?" "Because we needed your help," Commander Dae-hyun said, entering the room. His patterns glowed somber purple. "And we feared you would refuse if you knew the truth." "You're right," Yuna said coldly. "I would have. I would have told you to solve your own problems." "And billions would have died," Dae-hyun said. "Was your pride worth those lives?" "Don't turn this around," Yuna shot back. "You created us as weapons and then manipulated us into being used. That's not asking for help. That's using tools." "Is there a difference," Dae-hyun asked, "between a tool with consciousness and a person?" "You are both. We made you, yes, but you made yourselves into what you are now." "Those are both true." Minji had been quiet, but now she spoke. "What happens to Earth now? To the billions of humans who don't know any of this?" "That depends," Hana said, "on what you five decide." "What do you mean?" Sora asked. "You have three choices," Dae-hyun explained. "First, we can return you to Earth with your memories erased. You'll never know about us, about space, about any of this. Earth will remain isolated and ignorant." "Second option," Hana continued, "you can stay with us permanently, help fight the swarm, never return home. Humanity remains unknown to the galaxy, but you five continue to help us." "Third option," Dae-hyun said, "you become ambassadors. Return to Earth and tell them everything. The truth about their origin, about the galaxy, about the war. Prepare humanity for first contact and integration into galactic civilization. In a generation," Hana added, "humanity will be ready to join us in space. You could lead that transition." Silence filled the room. Tai Yang felt the weight of the choice crushing down on him. "You're asking us to choose," Yuna said slowly, "between ignorance, servitude, or complete transformation of human society." "Yes," Dae-hyun said simply. "That's not fair," Minji protested. "That's too big a decision for 5 people to make." "Life is rarely fair," Dae-hyun said, "but it is yours to choose. Despite your origins, you have free will. You can choose your own purpose." Tai Yang looked at the others. Yuna's face showed anger but also calculation. Wu Jin looked lost. Sora seemed thoughtful. Minji frightened. "I need time," Tai Yang said. "We all need time to think about this." "You have 3 days," Dae-hyun said. "Then we reach Earth orbit. Your choice must be made by then." After the Valorians left, the 5 humans sat together in silence. Finally, Yuna spoke. "I don't know if I can forgive them," she said, "but I also don't know if I can walk away from the war. Those people at Threshold Prime, they were real. They deserved to be saved. But we were manipulated into saving them," Wu Jin said. "Were we?" Sora asked. "Yes, our genetics were influenced, but we still chose to help. Nobody forced us. We saw people in danger and decided to act. That was our choice." "But would we have made that choice if we were naturally evolved?" Minji wondered. "Or is our desire to help just programmed aggression redirected toward protecting others?" "Does it matter?" Tai Yang asked. He felt strange saying it, but the question seemed important. Whether our helpfulness is genetic or learned, whether it's natural or designed, does that change the fact that we genuinely want to help? I think it does, Yuna said. Because if we're programmed to fight, then we're not really choosing. We're just following our design. But every person is shaped by their genetics, Sora argued, by their environment, their upbringing. Humans have always been influenced by things beyond their control. This is just one more influence. This is different, Wu Jin said. This was deliberate, designed. They talked through the night, argued, cried, tried to understand what it meant to be human when humanity itself was a creation. By morning, they still hadn't reached a consensus. But they had 3 days to decide the fate of their entire species. And somewhere out there, Earth spun peacefully, unaware that its children were about to make a choice that would change everything. 3 days passed too quickly. Taeyang spent most of that time alone, thinking. He walked the ship's corridors, stared out at the stars, and tried to understand what being human really meant. On the final morning, the 5 of them gathered in the observation deck. Earth hung below them, blue and beautiful, and completely unaware of the decision being made above. "We should vote," Yuna said. "See where everyone stands." "I don't think we all have to choose the same thing," Sora said quietly. "Each of us can make our own decision." That surprised Taeyang. "You mean we could split up?" "Why not?" Sora asked. "We're individuals. We're allowed to want different things." "Okay," Minji said. "Then let's each explain our choice. I'll go first." She took a deep breath. "I'm choosing option 3, Ambassador. I want to go back to Earth and tell everyone the truth." "Really?" Wu Jin looked shocked. "Even knowing how much it will change everything?" "Especially knowing that," Minji said. "I'm a teacher. My job is to give people knowledge so they can make informed choices. How can I look at my students and let them live in ignorance? Humanity deserves to know where they came from and what's out there." "The truth will cause chaos," Yuna pointed out. "Wars, probably. Religious conflicts. Massive social upheaval." "Probably," Minji agreed. "But it's still their truth. They have a right to it." "I agree," Wu Jin said. "I'm choosing option 3, too. But for different reasons. I want to bring back Valorian technology. I want to help Earth prepare for the galaxy. We're going to join galactic civilization eventually. Better to do it prepared than surprised." "Even if humanity was designed?" Yuna asked. "Every human is designed," Wu Jin said. "By their parents' genetics, by their environment, by a million factors they don't control. Finding out we have alien DNA doesn't change who we are now. It just adds context to our history." Sora spoke next. "I was going to choose option 1, forget everything and go home. But I changed my mind in the medical bay. I treated wounded Valorians after the battle. I learned their physiology, medical knowledge that could save millions of human lives. How can I forget that? So I'm choosing option 3 as well. I want to bring that knowledge back." Yuna was quiet for a long moment. "I'm choosing option 2, she finally said. "I'm staying." "What?" Minji looked shocked. "But you were the angriest about being manipulated." "I was," Yuna said. "I am. But I found something here. Purpose. At Threshold Prime, when we won that battle, I felt like my entire life had led to that moment. All my training, all my experience, it finally meant something important. I can't walk away from that." "So you're choosing to be what they designed you to be?" Wu Jin asked. "No," Yuna said firmly. "I'm choosing to be what I want to be. Yes, they influenced my genetics. But I'm still making the choice. That's the difference. They created a weapon. I'm choosing to be a soldier. Those aren't the same thing." Everyone looked at Taeyang. He had been silent throughout. "I've been thinking about what Hana said," he began, "about how we gave ourselves meaning beyond our design, and I realized something. Being an architect taught me that every building starts with someone else's plan. The client's needs, the city's codes, the site's limitations. I work within all these constraints, but the building is still mine. My creativity, my choices, my vision. He looked at Earth below them. Humanity is like that. The Valorians gave us the foundation, the basic structure, but everything built on top of that is ours. Our art, our music, our philosophy, our love. None of that was designed. We created it ourselves. So what's your choice? Sora asked. Option 3, Tai Yang said, but with a condition. What condition? Yuna asked. Complete honesty, Tai Yang said. No more secrets, no more lies. If I'm going back to tell humanity about the galaxy, I'm telling them everything. The Terra Project, the genetic manipulation, the failed experiments, all of it. The Valorians won't like that, Minji said. I don't care, Tai Yang replied. If we're going to have a relationship with the Valorians, with the rest of the galaxy, it has to be honest. No more manipulation, no more treating us like tools or experiments. We're partners or we're nothing. That's very human, Hana said from the doorway. They hadn't heard her enter. Demanding truth and dignity even from your creators. You were listening, Yuna said. Of course, Hana said. Your decision affects our entire species, but I'm pleased with what I heard, each of you choosing differently, but all for your own genuine reasons. That's the humanity we needed to find. Commander Dae-hyun entered behind her. The council has agreed to your condition, Tae-yang. Complete truth. We'll help you tell Earth everything about their origin and the galaxy beyond. Even the failures? Tae-yang asked. The 29 other experiments you had to destroy? Dae-hyun's patterns flickered uncomfortable colors. Even those. It won't be easy for either of our species. But you're right. Partnership requires honesty. What about me? Yuna asked. If I stay, what's my role? Teacher, Dae-hyun said. Military advisor. Help us spread human tactical thinking across our entire fleet. Turn our logical warriors into creative fighters, if you're willing. I am, Yuna said. Over the next few hours, they finalized the plans. Minji, Woo-jin, Sora, and Tai Yang would return to Earth in a visible landing. The Valorians would make first contact official and public. They would bring evidence, technology, and the truth about humanity's origins. Yuna would stay aboard the threshold of dawn, beginning a tour of Valorian military academies to teach her human approach to warfare. Are you scared? Hana asked Tae Yang privately as they prepared for the landing. Terrified, he admitted. I'm about to tell 8 billion people that everything they believed about human origins is wrong. That we were designed as weapons. That we're not alone in the universe. This will change civilization forever. It will, Hana agreed. But change isn't always bad. And humanity has survived every other impossible challenge it faced. Why would this be different? Because this time we know we were made to survive, Tae Yang said. That takes away some of the achievement, doesn't it? If winning is in our DNA. Does it? Hana asked. You still have to choose to use that DNA. You still have to make the hard decisions, face the fear, push through the pain. The potential is genetic. The achievement is all yours. Taeyang thought about that as the landing ship descended toward Earth. Seoul appeared below, his home city. In a few hours, he would stand before the world and tell them the truth. The landing was public. Millions watched as the alien ship touched down. Taeyang stepped out first, followed by the other 3 humans and a delegation of Valorians led by Hana and Dae-hyun. The cameras captured everything, the first contact. The first handshake between human and alien. The moment everything changed. At the United Nations, Taeyang gave a speech that was broadcast to every country on Earth. He told them everything, about the Valorians, about the swarm, about the war threatening the galaxy, and about the Terra Project. He watched the audience's faces change as they absorbed the information. Shock, denial, anger, fear, but also gradually something else, wonder, curiosity, and yes, hope. "We were designed to be weapons," Tae-yang said, concluding his speech. "That's true, but we became so much more. We created art that moves us to tears, music that lifts our spirits, philosophy that challenges our minds, love that makes life worth living. None of that was programmed, all of that was human." He paused, looking directly into the cameras. "The Valorians gave us life, but we gave ourselves meaning. They created our potential, we created our purpose, and now we get to choose what comes next. Do we hide from the galaxy in fear, or do we step forward as equals, ready to help save civilizations that need what only humans can provide?" "I know what I choose," Tae-yang said. "I choose to believe that being made with purpose doesn't make us less real. It makes us unique. We're the only species designed to never give up. Let's prove that our creators made something more amazing than they ever imagined. Let's show the galaxy what humanity really means." The response was everything he expected. Chaos, debate, protests, and celebrations. Some religious leaders called it blasphemy. Some scientists called it the discovery of the millennium. Some people were terrified. Some were excited. But slowly, over weeks and months, humanity began to accept the truth. They were not alone. They were designed. And they were needed. 2 years later, the first human volunteers joined the Valorian military academies. 5 years later, Earth launched its first interstellar ship. 10 years later, humans fought alongside Valorians against the swarm and won another decisive victory. Tae-yang watched it all from his position as Earth's ambassador to the Valorian alliance. He helped negotiate treaties, smooth cultural misunderstandings, and guide humanity's integration into galactic civilization. On quiet nights, he would video call Yuna, who was now a celebrated military instructor. Wu Jin had become the lead engineer on human-Valorian hybrid ship designs. Sora ran an interspecies medical research program. Minji taught at a school that educated both human and alien children, and Hana worked beside Tae-yang as the Valorian ambassador to Earth. Their relationship had grown beyond professional, though they kept it private. Some boundaries needed time to cross. "Do you ever regret it?" Hana asked him one evening as they watched Earth from the orbital embassy. "Choosing to remember? To tell the truth?" "No," Tae-yang said. "Yes, it was hard. Yes, it caused problems. But ignorance wasn't better. We're stronger now, more united. We know who we are and why we are. That's worth the pain of learning." "You've changed us too," Hana said. "The Valorians, I mean. We used to see everything as logic and calculation. But watching humanity, learning from you, it's taught us that sometimes hope matters more than odds. Sometimes fighting is right even when winning is unlikely. And you've taught us we're not alone," Tae-yang said. "That there's more to existence than our little blue planet. That we have a purpose beyond ourselves." They stood in comfortable silence, watching the stars. Somewhere out there, the swarm still existed. The war continued. But now, humanity fought too. Not because they were designed to, but because they chose to. And that choice, that fundamental human decision to help despite the cost, to fight despite the odds, to hope despite the darkness, that was what made them more than weapons. It made them human. In the end, maybe that was the real gift humanity gave the galaxy. Not their tactical creativity or stubborn persistence, though those helped. The real gift was showing that conscious beings could transcend their origins. That free will meant something. That choice mattered more than programming. The Valorians had designed a weapon. Instead, they got people. Real, complicated, frustrating, amazing people who refused to be reduced to their genetics or their purpose. People who insisted on writing their own story, even when the first chapter had been written by someone else. And as Tae-yang looked at Earth, At the billion lights of human civilization preparing to join the great galactic adventure, he felt something he hadn't expected. Gratitude. Not for being created, but for being alive, for having the chance to choose, for existing in this strange, complicated universe where nothing was simple and everything mattered. He had woken up 3 years ago to find Hana standing over him, about to tell him a truth that would change his life forever. That truth had been painful, confusing, and overwhelming, but it had also been the beginning. Not of humanity's existence, but of humanity's choice to exist with purpose, dignity, and hope. And that, Tai Yang thought, was the most human thing imaginable.